Hey guys, today is going to be the best day of your life. Why? Because I'm going to show you how to make crispy chili chicken. Get your woks ready. Right, my little chow with flowers, the first step is to slice up the chicken. We want really thin strips of chicken so that it becomes nice and crispy. So we're going to take 2 breasts of chicken, about 300 grams. Is there a more versatile ingredient than the humble chicken breast? I always have some in my fridge or my freezer. There's always a use for them. If I'm ever stuck for something to make, I always grab some chicken breast and think, what inspires me tonight? There's always something we can do. And for this recipe, it's just absolutely spot on. And we need to end up with strips of chicken looking a little bit like that. When it comes to picking the chilies for this recipe, of course it's totally up to you what type of chili you want to use. I don't want to blow my head off, but at the same time I want a little bit of heat in the dish. If you're one of these guys who doesn't mind if it melts their brain, of course you can go for the really hot chilies. However, I will take no responsibility for anybody melting their own brains after eating this recipe. You chose the chili, it's down to you. Always try to use fresh ginger in your recipes if you can. Fresh ginger is so much better than powdered ginger or frozen ginger. There is just no comparison. If you get the other ones, then it's a little bit like having ginger flavored ingredients, but with fresh ginger, it's the real deal. It's the one you want. It's the one you should use. End of. Is there a better ingredient than garlic? Answer, no. Chop your garlic fine. This dish doesn't actually taste garlicky, it's just that it gives it that extra layer of flavour. The onion in this dish gives you a contrasting texture to the crunchiness of the chicken, and also that fried oniony taste, which just is so lovely. Right, my little crispy food addicts, we're going on to the business end of the recipe now. I've got my corn flour. There's about 200 to 300 grams in here. I'm not exact here because more is better, because if you don't put enough corn flour in, it'll all go gloopy and sticky and it won't work. Too much is fine. You'll waste a bit, so you just got to judge it, right? I don't think you need any more than 300 for sure. Somewhere between 200 and 300 is the sweet spot, okay? So, I'm going to show you my little trick again. The crunch maker. What is this, you might ask, if you have not seen my videos before? Just water in a spray bottle. Got this spray bottle from one of the cheap supermarkets, and please don't use a recycled bleach bottle. Okay, we don't want to be doing that. And all we're doing is we're just going to be squirting a little bit of water into the corn flour, a couple of squirts, and then we're going to give it a stir and then repeat 2 or 3 times. I'll do it one more time, I think. Now, what you might notice is the fact that the corn flour is starting to form into clusters of corn flour, rather than, you can still see the fine loose bits, but you can see more of the kind of clumpy bits. And the theory behind this is the fact that when we fry it, you're going to get clusters of crunchiness. It's going to kind of clump up and fry. So instead of getting fine little bits of crispy batter, you're going to get clumps of crunchiness, which will explode in your mouth in a joyous firework display of crispiness and crunchiness. Why don't you try it and you can tell me if it works for you? It definitely works for me. Right, so that's enough of that. Then we're going to add some salt and pepper. We're going to season this well because we need a little bit of flavour, we need a little bit of saltiness in the batter itself. Okay, so copious amount of pepper, a bit more salt, give it another stir to get it in. You're probably going to put in a bit more salt than you think you might need, but don't forget that not all of the corn flour is going to be sticking to your chicken. So it's only going to get so much of that salt into your final chicken strips. That'll do. But again, don't just tip a whole bag of salt into it, because that might just be a little bit too much, if you get my drift. Okay, so for the marinade, we are going to need a teaspoon of sugar, a teaspoon of sesame oil, and a tablespoon of light soy sauce. Give it a nice stir. And that should get the flavors going. Set aside for half an hour in the fridge. After half an hour or so, crack an egg into your chicken. Stir it in, and this is going to help the corn flour stick to your strips of chicken. It just gives it that extra little gloopy stickiness. Now we pile all the chicken into all the corn flour, and this is where it becomes clear that we really need to use plenty of corn flour. Because if you look at the chicken, it's very moist, very wet, even with the egg and its own juices and the marinade. So as we massage it into the corn flour, it starts off by becoming quite sticky, and you think to yourself, oh, it's just going to be one big ball of chicken. However, as you continue to massage it, as the corn flour starts to coat the pieces, then the pieces get separated and you end up with nice strips. And it takes a little while, but you just have to keep going at it and it will do it itself. You don't really have to think about it. The chicken starts to become separate all on its own, which is great. And this is what we're looking for. Right guys, we're on to the deep frying. We're going to do this in 2 stages because this will give us an extra crisp finish. Whereas if you did it in one stage, one go, it wouldn't go crispy right to the core. This is going to give you absolute ultimate crunchiness. Okay, so we've got our oil on here. Be very careful, of course, and we're going to use the wooden chopstick method of testing to see if we are at the right temperature, which is the fizz test. And as you can see, that is fizzing along very nicely indeed. So we're going to get our chicken. I believe we're going to do this in 2 batches because we do not want to overfill the pan because that is dangerous, and also because it's going to cool down the oil too much and we won't get our crunch. It's all about the crunch, people. As per usual, be very, very careful as we're dropping the things into hot oil. So the object of the first fry is to set the crispy coating onto the chicken. We're not cooking it all the way through, we're just making sure that the coating is stuck nicely onto the chicken and has gone hard. And then we're going to set it aside, and the second fry will ensure that A, the chicken is cooked thoroughly, and B, that the coating on the outside is extra crisp and crunchy. Right guys, I am orchestrating a concerto of flavor here, and next is the sauce. So you will need a good splash of oil in a hot pan. Okay, swirl that around. We're going to put our half sliced onion into here. Wait for the sizzle. Here it comes. we're going to add our triumvirate of Asian flavor makers: ginger, garlic and chili. Pop that all in, get that going. Try not to burn the garlic, that's why we put the onions in first. All the flavors will kind of infuse into the oil, and when we add the liquids to this, that'll sort of all amalgamate into the liquid, creating this amazing sauce that we're about to experience. I'm going to introduce 3 tablespoons of vinegar. I am using malt vinegar. With all the other ingredients we're going to add to this, there's a certain latitude of what sort of vinegar you might want. We want 1 tablespoon of dark soy sauce. This will help enrich the colour. We want 2 tablespoons of brown sauce. Now, I know there's a few of you guys who are watching from America, and brown sauce is, I can't remember the exact brand, but it's a steak sauce. I'll see if I can put that in the description of this video when I come to make it. It's a steak sauce. I did a bit of research. And now, the inevitable tomato ketchup. 3 tablespoons of this. These are just rough quantities. You can riff a bit with this depending on your tastes. Obviously things like the brown sauce are a bit sharper. And last but not least, 2 tablespoons of honey. Be generous. Be generous. We want to add a little bit of sweetness to this. You could do sugar, but it might be a little bit tricky getting to dissolve in all of this. Syrup is fine. Syrup is good. Look at that. It's going to be sticky. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be a little bit sharp, and it's going to be a bit spicy, given a bit of kick by the chilies that we have put in here. So we're going to just bring that up to the boil, and then we're just going to set it aside for a second. Let me just taste it. Be careful, all the sugar is going to make this really, really hot. Oh yeah, all right, that's good. That is good. That is good. Okay, right guys, we're going for the second fry to maximize our crunchiness, our crispiness. You can see the little cluster bombs of crispiness happening there. Look at that. Our secret weapon of the water sprayer, or the crunch maker as I call it, is really working. Check it out. When it all goes golden brown, we will rescue these chicken strips, and we're going to fish all these amazingly crisp and crunchy shards of chicken. At this stage, you can use a number of different sauces. You could do a lemon sauce and have some chicken strips in lemon sauce. You could do sweet and sour if you wanted to. If you're not a fan of the chili, you could do salt and pepper, which means frying it again, shallow fry with chilies and garlic and a bit of onion. But today is a crispy chili chicken kind of day. Right people, we're nearly there. We're on the final leg now. We're going to reheat our sauce, get that bubbling. Now what we're trying to do here is get it really hot, molten hot, so that the sugar in this sauce starts to caramelize. That doesn't mean we burn it. You've got to sort of stop short of actually making it go black and burnt, but we've got to get it pretty hot, and it'll go a slightly darker shade than it was already, and then you know it's there. And because it's so sticky, because we've got so much sugar that's caramelizing, we won't need to thicken it. It's going to literally coat our chicken. As you can see, there's not a huge amount of sauce in there. It's just going to be a coating, which is great because if you swamp your chicken in sauce, it will not be crispy. And we can't abide by that. It's called crispy chili chicken. Crispy. Here we go. I'm going to pour the whole lot in. Whoa, there we go. And then we are going to give it a few flicks of the wok. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Just enough to coat every single piece of chicken to perfection. Like I said, we're not trying to drown it in the sauce. We're just trying to coat it and give it a little bit of flavour, and it's still staying nice and sticky and beautiful. Look at that. If you like a more liquid sauce, then add a few more of all the liquid ingredients. Add another tablespoon of everything, apart from the soy sauce. Don't make it too salty. And then you'll be fine. Look at that. Am I making you feel hungry? Huh? Check it out. Right. We are done. Onto our little serving plate. Carefully. Beautiful. Oh, that's good. That's good. That is so good. There you have it, guys. Crispy chili chicken. Get your taste buds ready. Right, guys, moment of truth time. Wow, check it out. My God, that's good. You can probably hear the crunch through the microphone. And the sweetness and the spice. It's just nice. And people often ask why I use ketchup and brown sauce in recipes. Well, it just works because they contain these spices and herbs that I couldn't hope to replicate, and it's something that generations of Chinese people have done because it works. I guess it's a bit of a shortcut, but it actually really works. I can't think of a way I would do this otherwise. So don't knock it. It's really, really good. Are you drooling, Yvonne?
It's not all for you.
I can just make you film for about the next 20 minutes and I'll just scoff a lot. And just think of more adjectives.
Okay, cut.
Seriously, guys, this is just amazing. It really is. And it's actually really easy to make. It takes a little bit more thought, a little bit more prep, but it is so worth it. When you can do this, you might never go to another takeaway or restaurant again. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment and all the good stuff. If you've got any ideas for recipes, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to do them for you. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, bye bye.